My name is Claire Hensley. I'm 75 years old. For 4 decades I carried my family quietly without applause, without asking for anything more than a little respect. I raised a son alone. After my husband died in a warehouse accident, I worked 2 jobs while battling migraines and arthritis. I put food on the table, paid off the mortgage, and kept the lights on through winters that nearly broke me. But I always believed, if I gave enough, loved enough, sacrificed enough, my son would remember. I thought love, when done right, always came back, but I was wrong. My son, Aaron, used to kiss my cheek and call me his angel. That was before the house became more valuable than the woman who built it, before his wife started whispering that I was getting too forgetful, that maybe I should rest somewhere with help. I didn't realize how far they'd gone until the morning I woke up and found my name removed from the utility bills, until my doctor called confused, asking why my son had requested my medical records for a facility evaluation I never agreed to. One afternoon, they invited me to brunch, told me to dress nice, said they were treating me. I wore the blue scarf my late husband gave me on our last Christmas together. I thought maybe they were finally going to tell me they'd pay off my car, or get me help around the house. Instead, they drove me 40 minutes outside the city, and dropped me at a senior care center. "Just for a few days, Mom," Aaron said. "You need to rest. We'll take care of everything." Then he hugged me tight. I smelled Danielle's perfume on his jacket. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't bring a charger. I didn't even bring my reading glasses. They left me with nothing but a folded brochure and a room keycard. When I asked the nurse to call my son, she looked confused and said, "He already left. Visiting hours are next Thursday." That's when I knew this wasn't about help. This was about control. I wasn't being looked after. I was being erased. I sat on the edge of the unfamiliar bed that night, and stared at the ceiling fan spinning above me like a slow, cruel clock. I wasn't senile. I wasn't broken, and I sure wasn't done. They thought I'd disappear in that beige room with plastic flowers, but I was just getting quiet, just getting still, just waiting. Because if they thought I was a burden, they were about to learn what it felt like to carry the weight of everything I'd kept quiet. And I would make sure he saw it. Every time he stepped onto his porch, every time he looked through his window, every time he tried to rest in the house I built. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to exist. And sometimes that's the loudest justice of all. Leland's comment: she never left, she just waited. If you're with Claire. The days in that facility blurred into each other. Morning meds, tasteless food, scheduled walks. People around me moved slowly, their minds already far from here. Some screamed at nothing. Some sat by the window, waiting for family who never came. I wasn't one of them. I still had fire in me. I still remembered every bank account I managed, every check I signed, every receipt I saved. I remembered whose name was on the deed, whose hands planted the azaleas along the back fence. I remembered that I didn't raise a coward, but somehow Aaron had become one. I asked the nurse for a notebook, told her I liked to write poetry. She handed me a spiral-bound pad, with a pen that barely worked. That was fine. I didn't need poetry. I needed strategy. I wrote down everything: dates, passwords, property lines, contacts. I wrote down Monica Taylor's name, my old lawyer and the woman who helped me settle my husband's estate, decades ago. She once told me, "You're sharper than most people I know. Claire, call me anytime." So I did, and when her assistant said it's been years, I said, "Tell her it's time. She'll understand." She called back the next morning. "Claire, are you all right?" "I will be," I said, "but I need your help. My son stole my life out from under me. He thinks I'm done. He thinks I'm weak, but I'm more awake than I've ever been." She didn't ask for proof. She trusted the voice she heard. "Let's fix this," she said. And just like that, I had someone in my corner again. Someone who saw me. Within days, Monica gathered the records, the forged consent forms, the changed addresses, the shady power of attorney. My son filed without proper review, and then she found it. The land registration documents. You see, when my husband and I bought that home in 1983, we didn't just buy the house. We bought the lot next door too, empty at the time, unused, but still in my name. And guess what? Still my name. And guess what? Still mine, untouched, buildable, facing directly across the street from the house Aaron thought he now ruled over. When Monica asked what I wanted to do with it, I didn't hesitate. "I want to build," I said. "I want to live close enough for him to see me every morning. I want him to know he didn't bury me. He just gave me a better view." She laughed, but it wasn't humorless. It was admiration. "You're colder than I remember, Claire." "No," I said. "I'm just done pretending warmth for people who left me out in the cold. There's something powerful about reclaiming what people tried to take from you. Not through rage, not through begging, but through presence." I wasn't going to burn his house down. I was going to outlive it. I was going to sit on my porch across the street in peace while the silence he left me in wrapped around his neck like a noose. The day I walked out of that facility, the sky looked different, brighter somehow. Or maybe it was just that I was finally breathing air that didn't smell like bleach and forgotten people. Monica picked me up herself. She helped me carry the small bag of clothes they gave me when they thought I'd stay there forever. "You sure you're ready for this?" she asked. I looked out the window as we drove. He said I was a burden. I whispered, "Now he's going to remember what it feels like to carry me." We didn't drive back to my house. I didn't want to return to rooms that had been invaded, violated, and stripped of my presence. We went to the lot, my lot, the one my husband and I bought, thinking maybe one day we'd build a guest house or a garden, but now it would be more than that. It would be a message, a monument, a porch with a chair, a roof with peace, a window facing the boy who threw me out. "It's not about revenge," I said to Monica, as she stared at the dirt. "It's about being seen." Within days, permits were pulled. Monica helped arrange everything. I didn't want anything big, just a simple one-story Southern style, wide porch, soft colors, and a mailbox with my name on it again. The workers moved quickly, and while the framing went up, Aaron had no idea. Danielle had posted a few smug photos online of their new peaceful life, sipping mimosas in the backyard of my old house like they'd earned it. But I didn't comment, I didn't correct, I didn't warn. I let them smile while the foundation was being poured 20 feet away. Tyler, my grandson, came to visit me one afternoon at the hotel Monica had arranged. 14 years old, smarter than he let on, quieter than most boys his age. He walked in holding a bag of fast food and a sketch pad. "Dad doesn't know I'm here," he said, "but I needed to see you." I asked him how school was. He shrugged. "They keep saying you're sick, that you forgot things." I looked him straight in the eyes. "I never forgot anything, baby. I just remembered at the wrong time who I raised." He sat beside me and flipped open his sketch pad. A picture of a house, small, neat, with a garden in front. "Is it true you're building something?" I nodded. "Right across the street." "Yes. So he'll see you every day." I smiled. "Exactly." Tyler leaned back and whispered, "That's so cold." I chuckled. "No, honey, it's warm. It's just the kind of warmth that doesn't burn itself out for people who never said thank you." They finished the house in 6 weeks, and the day I moved in, I wore my Sunday best. I sat on the porch with a book and a pot of tea. I watched Aaron walk outside to collect the mail. He froze, his eyes locked on mine, and I smiled. That kind of smile that says, "You didn't win. You just triggered the beginning of my next chapter." He turned away fast, but it was too late. I was already written into his view, and every morning from then on, I would be the burden he could no longer unload. The first few days were quiet. Jason, yes, I still called him by name in my head when I was angry, pretended not to see me, but I saw him, every morning, same coffee mug, same nervous glance across the street, and every morning, I was there, rocking on the porch, watering my flowers, reading a paper I didn't even care about anymore. My presence became his prison. I didn't have to raise my voice, I just had to exist. Danielle's visits became less frequent. At first she smiled through gritted teeth when she saw me, then she started pulling the curtains, then parking in the back, but I didn't need to watch her unravel. I could feel it. One morning she stomped out of the house and threw something into the trash bin so hard the lid slammed. She paused, looked at my porch and locked eyes with me. I raised my cup of tea. She walked back inside without a word. Tyler began spending more time at my place, said he liked how my house smelled like cinnamon and real peace. He helped me plant tomatoes, helped me bake, helped me remember that the same blood that betrayed me also created something pure. One night we sat on the couch and he asked, "Do you hate him?" I didn't answer for a long time. Then I said, "I don't carry hate, baby. I just don't carry him anymore." Meanwhile, Monica filed the final paperwork to ensure the old house, the one Jason and Danielle tried to claim, would never legally return to them. They had no grounds. They were squatting in a home they never owned. Every court document showed that I'd been coerced, silenced, and unlawfully displaced. Danielle didn't stick around to fight. She moved out quietly, left only a box of expired makeup and a single note on the fridge. You'll regret this. I didn't. I never have. One night Jason showed up on my porch, his eyes hollow, his mouth dry. Why are you doing this? He asked. I rocked gently in my chair and looked at the street lamp behind him. I'm not doing anything, Jason. I'm just living. He looked like a man unraveling. You're trying to ruin me. I shook my head. No, you did that when you decided I was worth less than square footage. He didn't argue, just stood there with silence dripping from his mouth like an apology he didn't know how to give. I let the silence stretch, then I said, you can go now, and he did, because sometimes the worst punishment isn't rage, it's knowing the one you hurt doesn't even need to raise her voice to take everything back. Weeks passed, the neighborhood adjusted, Jason didn't. I could see it in his face, drawn restless pale. The grass in his yard started to yellow, the porch light flickered and stayed out for days. He no longer greeted the neighbors, no longer waved at the mailman. The man who once took everything from me now had to live with the truth. Every time he stepped outside, I was still here, not broken, not bitter, just free. Tyler became my daily joy. He mowed the lawn without asking, helped with groceries, even painted the mailbox for me. One afternoon, he found an old photo of me and his grandfather dancing in the backyard, barefoot in the grass. He asked, was he a good man? I smiled, the best kind, the kind who made sure I never forgot who I was, even when life tried to erase it. Tyler nodded slowly. I think you're doing that for me now. I didn't cry, I just squeezed his hand and let that truth settle into both our bones. Jason's silence turned into distance. No more knocks, no more passive-aggressive stares from the porch. He was folding in on himself, and yet I didn't gloat, I didn't clap, I just watched the consequences of his choices do what I never could. He started missing work. Danielle, long gone, blocked him on everything. Even Tyler stopped visiting by his own choice. He doesn't ask about me, he said one day, so I stopped offering. Then came the letter from Monica. Official, notarized, the final will, my house, my savings and every last cent from the legal restitution, all going into a trust for Tyler and a community fund for women like me, forgotten, dismissed, and betrayed by their own. Jason, not a penny. That's harsh, some might say, but I call it honest. Because I wasn't raised to reward disrespect, I was raised to leave better behind me than what I was handed, and that's exactly what I was doing. I wrote one final note in my journal that night. He thought I was a burden, but I was the blessing he discarded, and blessings always find new soil to bloom in. I placed that journal in the drawer next to my husband's photo. Then I brewed my tea, stepped outside and sat on my porch beneath a sky so quiet it felt like justice itself was watching with me. The house next door grew quieter with each passing week. No music, no visitors, no laughter spilling from the windows like it used to, just silence, that aching hollow kind of silence that follows a man who's finally run out of excuses. I sometimes saw Jason through the window, sitting alone, unmoving, like a statue carved from shame. He no longer held his head high, because now every time he looked out that window, he saw the woman he tried to erase, and she was thriving. Tyler moved in full-time by summer. He helped convert the spare room into a study, filled it with books and notebooks. He started journaling, just like I once did. Sometimes I'd catch him at the window, looking across the street at the house he once called home, but there was no longing in his face, just clarity. Do you think he misses me? He asked one night as we folded laundry. He might, I said gently, but sometimes people only miss what they can no longer control. The community center invited me to speak that fall. They'd heard what happened. They wanted me to share. I stood in front of a room full of women, mothers, grandmothers, widows, all of them carrying their own versions of betrayal. I told them the truth. They'll call you forgetful, they'll call you fragile, they'll say you're a burden, but let me tell you what you really are. The blueprint, the one who taught them everything. And if they forget that, you don't burn down the house, you build a better one, right next door. There were tears, applause, hugs from strangers who felt like sisters. That night, I went home and looked out my front window. Jason's porch light was off, his blinds were shut. I didn't need to know what he was doing, because I already knew what he wasn't doing. He wasn't winning, he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't forgetting. I had become the presence that outlived his plan. The last time I saw him, he was loading boxes into a rental car. No goodbye, no knock, just a final glance toward my porch, where I sat in my rocking chair, a blanket draped over my knees, and Tyler beside me reading a book. I raised my teacup, not out of spite, but out of finality. He turned away and drove off. The house went dark. For sale sign up within days. I didn't ask where he went. I didn't need to. Some people think revenge is fire, but the truest kind is peace. A kind of peace that says, you didn't break me, you freed me. I wasn't the burden, I was the root, the foundation, the quiet that holds the weight of everything, and still grows. And now, every time someone asks me if I regret not taking him back, I smile and say, no, because the view from here is perfect. Comment, I am the root, not the burden. If this story left something in your heart,